Hey everybody, we are back live from Bulger Park and Melrose Park. 2-2 tonight in this men's major league out here. Signature and the 45's. Again, we talk about how storied the 45 program is. Signature right up there too when you start adding up all the wins in the resumes. So this is a big tilt, two big ball clubs that we expect to be playing late on Sundays during the course of the season. And again, for those of you that are checking us out, this is Chicago-style 16-inch softball. It is a 16-inch clincher. It is not a mush ball. 60-foot bases. You can lead off. You can't steal. 38 feet from the rubber to the point of home plate. Because we're playing no glove, the pitcher gets a drag step, 2 fakes or hesitation. Third arm action must be to deliver the ball home. Here's Anthony Sanchez. A fake or a throw toward a base is one of your fakes or hesitations. 6-12 on the arc. We are playing open count. So Anthony Sanchez in the box leading off. And there he hits a weird one. He got out and around it, but it looked like he cued it. That ball had some crazy action on it. And it didn't. It had a weird sound to it too, but ball drifted foul. And we don't normally see Anthony yank the ball down the right field line quite like that. So here we go. We just showed you a good one. Fat Kids came up a little bit short, losing 8-7. And there's a ground ball. Mark Menizzi, pitch and catch. And that's how the ball game's going to start tonight.
Nice play, Mark. No. Hey, pick him up right here, Jim.
So a lot of good stuff going on. We're going to have the Cinco de Mayo this Saturday, right back here at Bulger, and we'll show you a few games. We're going to have to cut away from here because we will be doing our draw for the Westchester TOC, 12:30 at Gulliver's. All teams, please try to have a representative there. Also, your roster is due on or before that date. And here's Jimmy Moretti. So if you can, get it to us before that date, as we got to put you all into the game changer. And there's a ground ball up the middle. Brian Haas makes the play, and that'll be out number 2. So Donnie Rollins, the pitcher, was guessing there. He jumped into the wrong hole, and the ball got hit to the other direction. But Brian Haas, covering some ground, was able to get there and make the play. So here's Nate Mercado now. And Fat Kids and Dynasty on the other diamond. Looks like the Fat Kids are the home team. So we'll be able to keep track of the score down there. We'll give you some updates during the ball game. And when we were up in Rosemont, Donnie got warned about that as well. It's right, left, or back. He has a tendency to take a step back, and then he kind of bounces and he moves forward. And there's Nate Mercado staying hot. Hits a long single. Good job there by the center fielder to get it in. Looks like Danny Marston out there. Throw was a little off kilter. Nate a little aggravated he didn't keep running, but you never really know it's going to be offline until you're kind of forced to shut it down. Of course, Nate, one of the more aggressive base runners we have in 16-inch softball. And it brings up Scotty Vetter, who was laying rope out all over the place in the first game, but he only had one hit.
You're good, nobody here.
And Vetter chops it. Spencer Mahoney. Spencer made the play. He didn't really gas it, and Scotty Vetter, despite being an old guy, got down the line pretty good. So 45's can't push anything across, and we're going to head to the bottom of the first. It's going to be Danny Marston, Mark Menizzi, Spencer Mahoney, and, of course, we got the Chicago Summer Series. You see the pretty logo bottom left, where we tie the major events, first of which is the Westchester TOC, May 15th through the 18th. And we keep stats and leaderboards and everything else. Pretty cool. So come on back during the summer, and usually on our Facebook page, we will, before every tournament, have a tournament page where you can see a live, up-to-date bracket and also a link to take you to the Game Changer page so you can track along all season. And there's a base hit. All this kid does is hit. Danny Marston was the hit leader for the Chicago Summer Series last year. He had more hits than a lot of guys had at bats because Signature early in the season was scoring a ton of runs, and they kept falling in the losers bracket and making long runs, and so their guys racked up a lot of at bats. And here's Mark Menizzi. He just tops it. Adam Haas can't make the play. So Scotty Vetter, who was playing third base the first game, is at short center here. I'm not quite sure why they made the change, unless it's because Nate did have an issue with a finger, and they might be trying to save him a little abuse in terms of just that type of play. So here's Mahoney. 2 on here, and that's the second time tonight. Adam had a play in the first game, and Mahoney turns and burns. Marston's going to score. Menizzi will go to third. So Spencer Mahoney just turned and hammered this ball down the right field line. Got it up and over Adam, and ball was fair by about 1.5 feet. So 1-0 Signature. This brings up Matt Menizzi. And he hammers it. Nate, long throw. And they calls him out. A run does score. And we'll show you the replay. Bang, bang. And you can see a nice play by Mercado. Long throw here. Nice scoop. You be the judge. Another run does score.
I get you. I get it.
So they're chattering. Bang, bang. This is Chad Hook, Iowa transplant. Played a lot of years in Iowa. And the last few years, he's been on a couple of teams here in Chicago. Of course, Chad was kind of a basketball legend out of Marshalltown. Played at the University of Hawaii. He was a Rainbow. And had good fun with him the other day. We were at a game, and Bob Rush Jr. was there. Little ground ball, and he sneaks it through. 3-0. And Signature figures that they're going to score a lot of runs this summer. They got a terrific offensive lineup. And they certainly have what I'd like to call a big boy offense. So here's Greg Fleming. And there's a high pop-up. So Bob Rush Jr. said he was talking to Chad Harold. And I guess Chad had played basketball in high school against Chad Hook. Chad said I held him to 4. So Bobby Rush Jr. was pulling his leg saying, hey, man, Harold said he held you to 4. And Chad Hook just kind of smiled and said, Bobby, come on. So, little pop-up there by Fleming. That'll be out number 2, and it brings up Matt Menizzi. So, of course, Chad Hook was a Gold Glove champion, they tell us. A little Iowa softball background for you. So, Signature up 3. Menizzi strokes it to the alley, and it's down. Hook is jigging. He's going to try to score. Relay, not in time. And Menizzi drives in the 4th run. So here comes So Menizio run, he would have taken one, but so that's going to bring up Brian Haas. He came over from Impact. And there's a ground ball off of Meniz. Off of Mastari. Runners on the corner. And Jeff, that was kind of a tentative reach there. Nate and Jeff, I think, both might have a little something going on with some fingers. Now they're going to come out and slow the game down a little bit. Here comes Marco. So Marco, Brian Haas, Danny Marston had come over from Impact. And they fit in right away last year. And, of course, Greg came from the Pharaohs. He's courtesy run, and he had a good year last year, too. Towering fly ball. Sanchez is there. So we're going to head to the second. Signature comes out and drops a 4 on him. Going to get the score right here as I forgot to put it up. So again, you don't expect the 45's to shrivel up and go away. But this game could be a little different. Might take a few more runs for whoever ends up winning it. So like I said, a lot of good stuff. Chicago Summer Series. Going to be another busy weekend for the SSA. I will be out here Thursday, weather permitting. And I do think the weather's supposed to be decent. We'll do at least one more on Thursday heading into the weekend. Maybe 2. We'll see what the matchups are. So hang with us all summer. We're going to show you some of the best softball in the country. And a lot of events coming up. And we're going to maybe have some news about that mystery tournament that we have listed on our schedule. I believe it's on there for May 31st. So we're in negotiations. Could be a fun day. It'll be a one-day tournament. Mastari hammers it up the alley, and he just never stopped running. And you can see Jeff Mastari, we told you in the first game, and now he's looking at his hands again. Kids, if you're going to slide, don't put either one of your hands on the ground like Jeff did. He's got a little road burn there on that palm of that hand. You want to get your hands up in the air when you slide. So here's Adam Haas. So the 45's put their leadoff man on. Chris Lentine on deck. And Adam, and now they throw behind, safe. So right now, Adam Haas is yet to make an out tonight. And it looked like Spencer was telling Chad Hook the ball took a little weird hop right at the end there. Here's Chris Lentine. So 2 on here, nobody out. What's up, Chup? Nice to have you tuning in from LA.
Hey, not a 2 right there.
You guys play 16-inch out in LA, Chup? And that pitch is a little deep.
Nobody here. Not a 2.
Chris Lentine, a little knuckleball, it drops. Mastari takes the turn, and he'll score. Mahoney came over to cut the ball off. The 45's are on the board. Line drive, little knuckleball by Chris Lentine. Sal Milazzo going to come and slow the game down. Well, this is Chicago-style 16-inch softball. Terrific game. We're playing at no glove, but we do have some events that we play with gloves, including our big ball getaway tournament in Las Vegas, Chep. Short jump for you. So we're out in Vegas, usually the week after Columbus Day. And that's a one-day tournament on Saturday.
Hey, so you're good right there, Hoss.
It's going to be the 10th year anniversary of that tournament, believe it or not. So here's Mike Marola now. 4-1, nobody out, first and second for the 45's.
Nice pitch.
And Mike tries to go down the line, and it's going to fade foul, and Marco couldn't get there, although everybody was screaming for him to let it go. You know, I'm a big believer that, you know, if you get a chance to grab an out, you grab an out. A lot of times guys will say, let it go, and I get it that you don't want people to tag and move, but Mike Marola, capable hitter, and there he pops it up. So Marco makes the catch, and left-handed thrower Adam Haas did move up on that, and that's a good job. The one thing that Signature is doing early in the ball game is they are hitting cutoff men, and they're not allowing, for example, Chris to just run and grab an extra bag. So here's Joe Pauly now, runners on the corner.
One down, Chris. You're good right here. Line is through.
Now, a lot of managers are a little different. Some will tell you, get one in, get one over. And others are always in the mindset of go for your hit. But in a game like this, between these two teams, you never want to leave anything on the table. And sometimes when you think it's going to be a high-scoring game, it turns into a low-scoring game. And Paulie's going to get one in. This is going to be tough. If you're Chris, you got to make sure the run scores. And I should have cut back a hair faster because a lot of times, kids, if you're on third base in this type of a situation, first and third, 4-2 ball game, a lot of times the guy on third will tag and jog in. But if you got a guy tagging like Chris might have done, you got to score before they throw it to second and potentially tag them out. Otherwise, your run doesn't count. Here's Israel Sanchez over the hook, and Menizzi comes off the bag and makes the play. So we head to the bottom of the second. 45's do cut it in half, 4-2. I'd like to thank a few of our sponsors, including Sweet Buzz. So if you are an adult and you use infused products, you might want to check them out. I think their website currently is undergoing some work. New company started last year. Nick Drabo from Moneyline, part owner of that company. So if you're at a field and Moneyline is playing and you want to know more, just grab Nick. He's usually playing short center for him. And he can help you out. Tell you all you need to know. Again, must be an adult. And please be responsible. So this should have been Donnie Rollins' slot, but it looks like Chris Pakulis is going to be pinch hitting, Pick as he's affectionately known. And of course, the one thing about Signature had days going back to their Windy City days, and Pick a towering fly ball. Marola going around and makes the catch. Are you kidding me? Mike Marola was turning and spinning, jumped up, put his hands up, and made the catch. Looked like he was in big trouble, And you can see just all over the place, but he makes the catch. Mike Marola robs pick of multiple bases. So here comes Marston. Da-da-da. And there's kind of a wicked hop. And Marston on base again. What new?
Come on, Marky. Let's go, Marky.
Of course, Danny Marston's only regret is he never played on Mudville. So Marston got a little bit of a chuckle out of that. Here comes Menizzi, and he turns, and that's going to be foul. And again, the thing about signature is you got to get guys toward the bottom of their lineup out because their top six, top seven are ridiculous. And of course, Sal Milazzo pitched for many years for this team. Sal a little grayer, but wiser. Always seems to find a way to reload even when his core group gets a little older and he loses guys. He's been very shrewd at who he's brought in to reload. And that started when he had to bring the Menizzis in and that group and Scarlata. And now it's the impact kids. And here's a ground ball. And Joe Pauly. It was a great effort by Pauly. And we'll see the replay here. I think Adam might have kind of stretched a little, kind of in an odd position. And again, it wasn't a great throw. It wasn't a horrible throw, but I think the bigger problem is that throw kind of veered into the baseline a little bit. And that's really what made that a tough play. So one out here, first and second for Mahoney, who ripped the ball down the right field line his first time up. Well, Mike started out as a center fielder, played many years on Traffic, and then he kind of wanted to transition in, talking about Mike Marola, to the infield, and now he's trying, and Mahoney got the pull action working today. Second hard pull hit, second hard pull double. So another run scores, you can make it 5-2.
Adjust, Spencer. Way to adjust.
Here in the bottom of the second, and it brings up Anthony Scarlata. Of course, Scarlata won a batting title at an SSA Men's Major National Championship when we were in Wheeling. And that year the tournament was renamed in honor of Stan Paddock, longtime softball guy that ran Impact, and Stan must have been looking over that Impact team because they had a nice team that year, but they ended up finishing, I believe, I want to say they finished third that year, and they weren't really projected to be in the top three. Long fly ball. It's going to score at least one. Mahoney is going to run hard in case the ball gets away, but Scarlata drives in another run, 6-2. And that brings up Chad Hook, a little ground ball between third baseman and the shortstop his last time up. So I think the one issue that Signature's had at times in the past, and Chad tries to sweep it the other way, and that'll be the third out. So we're going to head top of the third, 6-2. But one of the problems that Signature has had in the past at times is that they would lose a game early in the tournament, like the first night. They would take a loss and go into the loser's bracket, and then they'd be fighting their way out and come back. And they're, traditionally they've been one of the best teams playing in the loser's bracket. But for the success that they've had in the tournaments they've had, you always wonder if they could have stayed in the winner's bracket, how many more could they have won? And they've won plenty, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he used to hang around with
So it's going to be 11-1-2, Chuck Regaldo, Anthony Sanchez, and Jimmy Moretti. 45's now down by 4, excuse me. So back up to the original 4-run deficit. And Chuck guides a line drive to center leading off. And that is a good sign because this kid defensively terrific. And it's just a matter of him to continue putting together good swings. And I told him a couple of years ago that they got a little bit more outfield depth this year, having picked up Mike Marola. And that was always kind of the Achilles heel the last couple of years for the 45's. They didn't really have any outfield depth. And they got a little more flexibility now. But there have been a few tournaments the last couple of years where Chuck either... And Anthony tries to flip the other way, too fat. Greg Fleming makes the catch. Where Chuck had some cramping and other issues where he couldn't finish, and then 45's just didn't have any real good viable options. And their outfield play would kind of collapse, and a lot of times they'd put Adam Haas out there, and, you know, that's kind of a tough deal. So I always try to encourage Chuck to take care of his body and, you know, not drink too much during these weekends because it can get awful hot and humid here in Chicago during the summer. And we all kind of laugh, having played in a few national tournaments out on the West Coast in Arizona. We always laughed when it was 100 or 102 and they wouldn't play games during the day. And there's a spin, and that ball's foul because out here in Chicago, when we get days and it's upper 80s into the 90s, even if it don't touch 100 with the humidity we get sometimes, the real feel is much worse than being out on a 100-degree day with no humidity. And that's why you see a lot of teams don't necessarily have pants, but they'll buy shorts or they'll buy the Boomba pants and they'll go to their tailors and get them cut into shorts. So here's Moretti, little pop-up. Mahoney makes the play, long throw. It's going to be not in time. So nice play there by Matt Menizzi. Or excuse me, Anthony Scarlatta. Menizzi plays a lot of first for him. Oh, no, yeah, that is Scarlatta. Tell you, him and Menizzi got the same damn beard. But that was a pretty athletic throw there. It was right on the money, but Chuck just beat it. So here's Nate Mercado, a 2-out RBI situation now. Again, Spencer made the nice catch, but tried to throw across the diamond over the top of Chuck running back, and the ball was a little too tall. And Nate slashes a hit up the middle. That is going to score a run. And now Nate sees it, and oh, he fell down, and he's going to be tagged out.
There we go, Spencer!
I think what happened there is Nate saw the relay throw. Let me see if I got this replay. Watch Nate's head on a swivel here. Okay, sorry, folks. I didn't get to the replay in time. But what happened is Nate took the big aggressive turn. He saw that the throw was going to be over the second baseman. So he started running the second, and out of the corner of his eyes, he saw Spencer. So he was going to slam the brakes on and go back to first. But what happened was Spencer caught the ball and wasn't looking to throw the ball to second. He was going to throw it to first. So had Nate continued to run, he would have made it because Spencer was looking to throw that behind him and didn't realize that how far Nate was. So here's Fleming, and that ball's going to be foul. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but Nate got out there, like I said, and he turned his head and he saw Spencer, and I think he assumed Spencer was going to catch and throw to second. But instead, he caught it and was going to throw to first. And by that time, when Nate slammed the brakes on, he fell down. Had he just kept running to second, Jeff Mastari would not have been able to make that throw. So 6-3 brings up Greg Fleming. And there's strike 3 called, and they're going to be barking. Hi, Chris. How are you, bud? How's Whale looking this year? Meanwhile, your former team, Dynasty, got beat up a little bit by Signature tonight. I know you guys are still good friends with a lot of guys on that team. So here comes Menizzi. Matt over to Nate, and he makes the play. And again, Nate is such a slick infielder. He knows when he's got time, and you can see there, he was kind of way deep there, and he just threw a nice, long, easy one-hopper. He knew he had time with Menizzi running, and Brian Haas walks the dog down the right field line. And now he's going to end up going. And that's a break there. Marco was, the right fielder, Marolo, very close to being out of play. You can see that ball just on the chalk.
Let's go. Get him home.
And Haas easily. So 2-out triple. I always laugh. There's 2 outs. The guy just hit a triple, and they courtesy run for him. Jackson Perry, the action hero, Jackson Perry. Marco, bad hop single to drive in a run. And that ball almost took Mastari's head off. We'll show you the replay. We've seen a couple of balls just absolutely jump up here and almost clock infielders. And Mastari's a big kid. He had to get real small there. So back to that 4-run lead. And here's Donnie Rollins. Awful early in the game here. They're going to let him take this swing. High fly balls. Mike Marola drifts over, puts it away for out number 3. Again, we do play double re-entry. For those of you who are not necessarily yeah, well, we'll see you out at the TOC, Chris. Looking forward to seeing what Whale did in the offseason. Of course, I always like to see Jackson, one of my favorites. Jackson, bigger than life personality. So I think the TOC is going to be a riot. I think I like what I'm seeing. A lot of these younger teams are making some pretty good progress. And the big teams certainly did improve. So we'll see what happens. And down on the other field, it looks like the Fat Kids are winning. And they're in the 3rd inning there with Dynasty swinging. So here's Scotty Vetter. And Scotty hammers it, and Greg Fleming down in the darkness. I don't think that would show up very well on a replay. Not quite Mike Marola in terms of spinning, And I tell you, Vetter is absolutely hammering the ball tonight, and he's not getting a lot of love for it. Meanwhile, it looks like Dynasty is taking a 10-9 lead over the Fat Kids. Third inning down there. So those two teams going back and forth. So here's Mastari, loud out by Vetter. And Mastari, a ground ball handled by Rollins. He'll throw to first for out number 2. And here comes Adam Haas. So as we approach the halfway point, 45's offense stuck in the mud. These two teams are very similar in the sense that positionally they have very solid defenders, and they generally don't shoot themselves in the foot too often. So if you want to score runs, you generally have to earn it. And there's a little roller up the middle. Haas will suck it up, and they go 1, 2, 3. So halfway through, Signature leads by 4. So Dynasty, 2 outs, still hitting in the third inning. Just taking a 10-9 lead after they were down a handful of runs early in that game. Of course, Chicago Dynasty was always one of those teams that when you went to a tournament, I don't know too many teams that have more fun than that group. Brick always had a lot of fun at their games. Here's Marston. Little ground ball up the middle, little bobble, Vetter. And Marston beats it out.
Let's go! Way to hustle!
You would. So Scotty Vetter again. See Nate still kind of playing around with a finger over there. That brings up Mark Manizzi. So Scotty Vetter, little roller. Joe will just shovel to first. And
smart things that don't go in the book.
Looks like the third inning finally over, but Dynasty's claiming the lead down, or top of the third over. They go to the bottom of the third, 10-9 Dynasty. So here's Mahoney. I'm going to get off this line. He goes the other way. He had rifle 2. And there's a catch, and they'll throw it into third. Anthony Sanchez, covering a lot of ground, makes the play. So here's Anthony Scarlata now, 2 outs. And if you're the 45's, you just want to kind of keep the score here. And Scarlata, you don't normally see that too often. He's a guy that doesn't get cheated very much. He's usually taking a big hack at it. And that time it looked like he was trying to cut something to left field. And Scar, just a big, strong kid. And there he just pulled his hands in and just kind of muscled it into the outfield. He drives in another run. And there's a reason why he won a batting title. Let's see if we got that on the replay. Watch what he does with his hands here.
Okay, let's go.
Just kind of pulled him in just a little bit to make sure he got the barrel to the ball. A lot of times, kids, if you try to extend your arm, Chad Hook tries to go big. Sanchez is running, and that's way out of play. A lot of times, guys think they got to fully extend their arms, and they end up hitting it off the trademark, or they don't quite barrel it up. So you almost got to visualize where your hands are versus where the barrel is. And, you know, we all tend to move and walk in this game. It's not like 12-inch when you just stand flat-footed. And sometimes guys will walk them, you'll hear me say he walked himself out of the swing, but theoretically, if you know where the barrel is in relation to your hands, and you can still get the barrel to the ball, you can still put a big swing on it. And Israel, I'm not laughing at you, Izzy. So when you see the replay, but Israel literally got knocked down there. And as he was falling, it was actually a very nice play. As he lost his balance, you could see there, but he found a way to get it over to Adam Haas, and you heard Chad Hook just kind of shaking his head here as he came by. So nice play by Izzy Sanchez. So we're going to head top of the fifth here. 45's got a little work to do. And I'm way behind on my innings, and nobody told me. So we are in the fifth inning here, 8-3. Meanwhile, 10-9 down on the other diamond. So it's going to be Chris Lentine, Mike Maroli, and Joe Pauly.
Down one.
That's a good question, Jackson. When I ran Mudville, I only had one coach, Lane Neiman. Joe Jensen was a third coach for a couple of years. When I was with Flashback, you know, I had JT, Wags, Lane, and myself. But I think it's not the number of coaches. And there's a line drive. Rollins turns, and Scar can't hold on. So Chris Lentine, the lefty, hustling down the line, finds his way on base. So I think it's more, Jackson, how whoever your coaches are, how they get along. Now, I was always a big believer that there had to be one guy that had the final say. Trying to do everything via consensus, I didn't think worked, especially in the heat of a ball game. And hopefully your lead guy, whoever that is a guy that's thinking situations ahead. So, for example, when I was working with Lane, and Lane was a joy to work with, Lane Neiman, you know, we were always talking 2 or 3 innings ahead. So when we got to those points, there was no surprises. And over by the fence, Chad Hook can't make the play. So, you know, it just depends on who the guys are, how well they work together. But like I say, I always thought you had to have one guy that had the final say and who was actually running the team. Not just for game day, but and there's a hard ground ball, and it's going to take him right to the bag, and Haas threw it in the dirt, but Scarlata with the good hands. And again, that is the second time today, I believe, that Mike Marola might have hit a ball right up the middle. And this was just too easy. This took Haas right to the bag. Low throw, but you see Scar handled it.
Brian, nice play, dude. Take that fucking mouth tape, Donnie. Right? 10.
So here comes Joe Pauly now. Leadoff single wiped out.
There we go, there we go.
8-3 here. And there's a high fly ball. Marco put it away, and that'll be out number 3. Meanwhile, Dynasty's pushed out to 12-9, playing a much better second ball game. And sometimes that happens. I don't know how much Dynasty has played so far, but sometimes this early in the year, I believe this is the second week of this league, so I'm not sure if Dynasty played last week or not. Sometimes the second game, or even the latter part of the first game, teams start swinging better. So getting back to you, Jackson, let me just finish up. I always wanted one guy to be the decision maker and to run the team because I did not like it. And there's a hammer, and that throw's going to be way offline. As Nate Mercado was way out on the grass. I got to believe there's something going on a little bit with Nate a little bit physically.
Miners still go through.
But I got no way. But anyways, the reason why I wanted one guy is because otherwise, if you got 3-4 coaches, you get players that want to, what we call in the legal profession, forum shop. They want to look for a coach that's going to be sympathetic. And there's a little tapper, and Vetter hung in there and grabbed it just in time. So that's one out. So nice play by Vetter. He might overrun that a little bit. So anyways, I didn't want guys going and, complaining to this coach or that coach. My philosophy was if you had a problem, you come talk to me. And Haas, a line drive, and Nate can't make the catch. And I don't know if it's a hand. Thought I saw for a split second he might have grabbed the upper thigh. So there's something going on there. Whatever it is, I hope that it's not serious. So one out here brings up Marco. And it is kind of, so that's why I wanted accountability, and that ball's going to drift foul. Marco tried to go opposite field, but he had a little inside action on that and got that weird spin that wasn't going to allow that ball to stay fair.
Yeah. No.
So Marco, little soft pop-up, that ball's going to be foul. And for those of you that are wondering, no infield fly rule on a foul ball. Plus, you could tell how hard Adam was running. Infield fly rule only pertains to when an infielder can make the catch with a fairly routine effort. So here's Marco. And this time he grounds it, Paulie to Vetter, and that'll end the inning. So nicely done there as they spin the double play to get out of the inning. So we'll take another look at it. So we head to the top of the sixth, getting a little late. If you're a 45 fan, they need to get their offense in gear here. And both teams are playing a decent game, so 12-10 now on the other diamond. So this is going to be a busy week, heading into a busy weekend. Like I said, we'll be back out here on Thursday. Haven't looked at the schedule yet, but we'll post something. Gonna release a reel with a couple of highlights from that Woodpecker New Millennium game yesterday. So that should be a quick, fun 30-second reel. Got to spread the gospel a little bit. So here's J-Rob pinch hitting, soft little liner the other way. Mahoney picks it off the top of the carpet.
With that first stab, he would have threw it away.
No, that's supposed to be over the third baseline.
So
By fucking 15 feet again.
J-Rob hit for Israel Sanchez. It brings up Chuck Regaldo. So Ram telling him, first time I've seen you hit that ball. And he said, J-Rob told him, well, that's not the ball I was trying to hit. I was trying to flip it over to the third baseman. And that's probably why Ram never seen him hit that ball before. So here's Chuck Regaldo. And there's a high fly ball. And Marston puts it away for out number 2. So here's Anthony Sanchez. So regardless of what Anthony does, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5 are going to get another shot in this ball game. They do trail by 5. And realistically, if you're the 45's, you kind of want to maybe put 1 or 2 up, even with 2 outs. Take it easy, Timmy. And there's a little flare the other way, but Greg Fleming is there. And the 45's suddenly looking very flat in this ball game. And we're going to head to the bottom of the 6th, 5-run lead for Signature. Now, if you're Signature, you can't get too fat and happy with this lead because 45's are more than capable of throwing up some runs. And they're going to have the top of their lineup. Oh, my bad. It's going to be Donnie, then the top. So 10-1-2. And new pitcher, as they've taken Israel Sanchez out. I'm wondering if Izzy, when he made that play and fell down, maybe he didn't tweak something as they bring Jimmy Moretti in. J-Rob, who was extra hitting, is sliding behind the plate. No, I take it back. J-Rob hit for Izzy. So there's a high fly ball. When it comes down, it'll be the first out of the inning. And that's going to bring up Marky Manizzi. I don't think Marston's made an out today, to be honest with you. Last time up, it would have been and now he goes huge to the gap. He's been hitting line drives all over the place, and he airmails that into right center. Marston showing you he's got a little pop. And he leaned on this, folks. This was a bomb. Perfectly hit to the gap. Solo Jack makes it 9-3 here. Brings up Marky Manizzi. About 110, I would think, Amalia. And there he goes the other way. Sanchez puts it away. We do not run the 4th of July tournament. I'm sure there might be one somewhere in Chicago, but the SSA itself does not, primarily because the week before we have the SSA Tom Egzarnik Class A No Glove National Championship Tournament, which is a big event up in Schaumburg, Illinois. So here's Mahoney with 2 outs now. And it looks like the fat kids in the fifth have cut it to 12 to 11 down there.
Call it all night.
31, we're done.
Call it all night. I know we're good, but.
And Mahoney draws a walk. And that's going to bring up Scarlata. Again, we know Spencer can fly. He'll be running on any swing. So 12 to 11, only one out there. This is Dynasty's push one across.
There it is.
I
thought you pivoted, but it's behind you. Called it on us.
And Scarlata, high lazy fly ball. Sanchez takes charge. And we head to a do or a die. Top of the seventh. 45's trail by 6. So they need 6 to continue the game. 7 gives them a lead. Anything less, and Signature will have completed a double dip today, beating Dynasty and the 45's. The 45's will split their 2 games. And now it looks like it is 12-12 in the, I think that's a 12. I'm looking through some screens there. Still only one out in the fifth. Is that 12-12 down there, Scar? Okay. Always ask the younger guys with good vision. So back and forth down there. A little bit of a slugfest. So Sal was questioning because Donnie had stepped forward earlier in the game, and Rich told him, the umpire told him he can't do that. And he felt Jimmy Moretti was doing the same thing, stepping forward, not as dramatically as Donnie was doing it, but so here's Jimmy Moretti leading off. And that pitch is a ball. And again, you're in the 7th inning here. And you're up 6. The last thing you want to do is give anybody free passes. So if you're pitching, you want to throw strikes. And Moretti swings, and that ball eats up Spencer. Again, I got to tell you, between there have been some wicked hops now. We've seen some players deal with some crazy bounces. Actually, I would think Israel, I think somebody told me he was in his 60s. So here's Nate Mercado with Scotty Vetter on deck, and Scotty's due like the rent. He's been laying missiles everywhere. Nate Mercado, what new, splits the gap. This is probably going to be at least a triple. Marston went down. Nate's going to shut it down. And now the throw gets away from Spencer Mahoney, and Nate ends up scoring anyway. He was going to shut it down, trailing by as many as they are. You don't want to take a chance. But you can see Nate turned and looked. And we talked earlier on a different broadcast. That's something that Flash does very well. They tell their base runners to turn and look when the ball isn't on them at third, so that if a throw gets away like it did there, you can just keep on running. And here's Vetter, and he hits a little chopper. Mahoney on the run. High throw, safe.
Look at the play.
So we'll show the replay here. Mahoney charging hard. Threw it a little hard. The question is whether or not Scar was able to get back down. And I think that's the right call, folks. It sure looked like it. So Vetter, who's been laying rope out all day, tops one and gets on base. It's a funny game. It'll humble you. So here's Mastari.
Hey, good night, Jeff. Good night, Jeff.
45 still a couple of hits away from being dangerous. And Mastari tops one. Mahoney will just throw it across. And Mastari made it close, but Mahoney gets him. Here comes Adam Haas. 1 out. And I like what Spencer did there. Scotty Vetter still runs pretty good. And the ball wasn't exactly hammered.
Hey, nobody there. Nobody there.
And instead of maybe going bang bang at second, he just picked it up and threw it right across.
Nobody there. Nobody there. Not a through. Nobody there.
To make sure he was going to get an out. And Haas goes the other way. Mahoney, a slight bobble. And this time, Scarlotta got the foot down.
You calling me out?
So we'll see here. We'll get another replay on it. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It looked like Scarlotta may have not exactly had the foot down there. So 2 outs now. Last hope to keep the game alive here is Chris Lentine. And Chris a little flare, and Chad Hook makes the play. So the 45's offense a little stale. Some good defense by Signature. They hit just enough. They win the game 9-5. So Signature wins 2 tonight. 45 split. And meanwhile, at the other diamond, we got 12-12, top of the 6th. So bear with me, folks. I'm going to try to grab my bag. And I might try to walk down there and catch that last inning. So you're going to have to bear with me here. So I know I'm giving you the behind-the-scenes tour of Bulger Park. And we'll try to get down there, see if we can't catch the last. Okay, folks, sorry, but can't leave the bag out here. So we're going to try to make the walk and give you a little bonus coverage. See if we can't catch that last inning of what looks like a pretty exciting game. Sorry, don't move as fast as I used to. But it is 12-12 down on the other diamond. Fat Kids, Chicago Dynasty. So there was a nice play there. I'm not sure if that was Tommy that hit that ground ball, but Macho over to Tom, and they get the fielder's choice. So we're going to jump in and probably just creep up this third baseline. And there's a ground ball over to second. A little bobble, everybody's safe. So Dynasty, a couple of base runners here, 2 outs, top of the 6th. 12-12 ball game. Bonus coverage on SSA broadcast. So I'm going to hope that I can get to third base here before somebody whistles one over here. And that looks like, what is that, Matty Richards in a big spot here. Matty goes oppo and just foul. So we got ourselves a little bonus coverage. Man, I tell you, I got about 17 batteries in my... So you surfaced. Long-time snapper guy. You're like a bad nickel.
Never go away.
So, Matty Richards in a spot here to maybe put Chicago Dynasty in front here.
Nobody there, Tommy.
As we got a little bonus coverage. And in between innings, that may change the scoreboard. So that ball is rifled, and oh, Brandon Molina, and it goes out of play. So temporarily, that's going to save a run here.
We home, we home. Omar, 2 out.
So the fact that it went out of play there saves some runs temporarily.
Omar, 2 out.
And I'm trying to get this scoreboard adjusted so here on out we'll have the right scoreboard. And there's a swing and a base hit. 2 more runs are going to score. And the throw to the plate not in time.
Yeah, big hit, kid.
So 15-12 now. We'll get the scoreboard kind of up to date here.
Omar, 2 out.
So now we got an up-to-date scoreboard on this bonus coverage.
There, Mikey.
15-12, top of the 6th. So we're doing this on the fly. And there's a high fly. Scott Gates cruises over, and he puts it away. So this game, 27 runs back and forth. We'll see what the Fat Kids got. These teams exchanging body blows apparently during the entire ball game as they're just leaning and hammering each other. And it's not often you see Brandon get to a ball and not handle it. So that was very unusual to say the least. Well, Nick, there's a reason why we're the best. Don't let anybody kid you. So here we go now. Leadoff man for the Fat Kids is they're going to try to crawl back in. And there's a little short pop-up. Center fielder went back, but Walsh comes in, and Tommy makes the catch. And you might remember Karl Fabiakovitz started out as a left fielder, was one of the best, transitioned over to the mound, and he's come along very well. So here's Macho Soto. So Scott Gates flies out to start the top of the 6th. This is the top of the Fat Kid lineup here. And Macho, little ground ball to second, picked it up and thrown. So nice job there by the second baseman. It's going to bring up Matt Peckus. One thing I will say about Dynasty, they got a lot of guys who have been around the block a few times.
Good shot.
And Peckus off the end of the bat, left fielder. Nice job. He didn't get fooled by the big swing. came charging in. So we're going to head to the top of the 7th. If you're Dynasty, you're looking to maybe push out, maybe get yourself a little insurance. And if you are the fat kids, you want to hold it right here. And I'm going to grab a little water, folks. Just remembered I had my bottle here and I haven't taken any. So I'll be right back.
There, Knops.
So here's Joey Knops leading off the top of the 7th for Dynasty.
Good pitch. There, Knops.
And there's a little spinner off the end of the bat. And Alex Rodriguez, or excuse me, that's Chulo Magana over there. Stayed right with it and made the play. So big swing there by Knops and a little bit of a weird cue action. And Chulo was telling Bruce Lee that, yeah, when I went and the ball spun away from me. And there's a little poke the other way, and it's going to drop. So just a little, just kind of punched it over the infield there.
Stay high here, kid.
So Dynasty here threatening the ground ball. Could be 2. High throw. So there's a high throw there. That should have been an easy double play. I think what happened was Tommy was coming over, so was Macho, and I think Angelo ended up kind of throwing and splitting the difference. Should have been a tailor-made double play, but a little confusion. I know for many years when I was playing short center, I used to always make sure to let everybody know, hey, I'm going to be at the base. I got everybody. And sometimes if you communicate like that, you avoid that situation where the pitcher doesn't know who's covering the base. And that ball was hit up the middle. So if you're the short center, chances are you're moving in that direction. And that should have been an easy one. But they get out of the inning with no damage. Do or die, bottom of the 7th. They need 4 to walk them off, 3 to continue the game. Anything else, and Dynasty will pick up the win. Well, this weekend's tournament is the Cinco de Mayo. It was supposed to be last week, but it got rescheduled. It's a one-day double elimination with 10 teams, as they had a few teams drop out from the original tournament. And then, of course, 2 weeks will be the kickoff event for the 2025 Chicago Summer Series out in Westchester, the Tournament of Champions. So Notes leads off with a base hit, and I just love it when he goes the other way. He's got some moving parts in his swing, and when he goes the other way, he tends to stay on the ball, and he tends to keep that shoulder in, and he tends to hit a lot of crisp line drives. And a little surprised they're not using a courtesy runner here. So here's Molina. I need one more base runner to bring the tying run up. And Brandon comes through. Tying run will get to the plate. Mike Mays over here. So brings up Tommy. It's going to be right here, Nathan, right here at Melrose Park. Same complex. So during the day, we're going to be running around because we're doing our draw. at 12:30 for the TOC. So I'll be out here early. Might try to sneak in a 9 o'clock game before we do the draw. But we'll be back after the draw, and we'll bring you home there. We'll definitely have probably a semifinal game, championship and IF game, and we'll see if we can't sneak in another game somewhere along the way. So we'll probably have 3 to 4 games for you on Saturday. And there's a swing by Tommy. And Tommy a little disappointed there. Again, you're down 3. You're not necessarily looking to advance anybody. Because outs here are not that are very important. If you're the fat kids, you're not looking to give outs up here just to move a guy. Now, if you had 2 runs in, it'd be a different story, but down 3. So here's Chulo. And that ball a little off the end of the bat, and it's going to drop. And, the ball took a crazy bounce there. Brandon Molina got a bad start. And the right fielder, I used to tell my base runners, when you see an outfielder and he throws his hands up, like that, they're faking like they're about to catch, you know that they're not getting to it. So here's Bruce Lee tying run at first. Nick Jones on deck. And Bruce hammers it. Called it foul. Now I'm on the other side of the field, but that kind of almost looked like it might have been fair. We'll see if there's any chalk that kicked up here. Yeah, that's tough to see. On a big screen, you might be able to see it, but...
Yeah, let us know at home what the call was.
But I got to tell you, my first reaction was I kind of thought it might have been a fair ball there. But Bruce wasn't arguing too much. I mean, he probably had the best view next to the umpire and the catcher. And I'd like that, Bruce letting his guys know now. With Bruce, he's got to be careful. He is a potential double play candidate if he throws it on the carpet. And there's a line drive base hit. 2 runs are going to score, and the tying run is going to get to third. Bruce Lee hammered a single between the first baseman and the second baseman. And now you do have the hammer, but if you're the fat kids, you must tie before you can win. Nick Jones here, he has to make sure that he scores this tying run. You might have heard Rader telling Chulo, line drive's got to go through. You don't want to get doubled off. Sometimes guys try to hit that fly ball, and they end up hitting line drives. 15-14, back and forth, these two teams. And Nick Jones delivers a hit. Tommy's going to get to third, and they'll hold him all tied at 15. Nick Jones, vicious line drive up the middle. 1 out. You got to figure that Chicago Dynasty is going to walk Angelo to get to Luke. But I got to tell you, Luke Lowry.
Never mind. Hey.
Luke Lowry has been hitting the ball hard all night. Now, if you're Luke,
Hey, Brandon, get behind home plate and let me know.
If you're Luke, this is easy. You just don't want to jump out of your shoes. Infield in, outfield in. Again, sometimes here kids try to hit the ball 10,000 miles. 200-foot fly, and that's going to do it. And he'll tag, but no chance. And the Fat Kids score 4 in the bottom of the 7th, and they walk off Dynasty. Tough for Dynasty. Played a great game, scored 15, but the Fat Kids scored 1 extra run. They walk them off. We hope you enjoyed the bonus coverage. This is Gio on behalf of the SSA. We'll talk to you later in the week.